feel like this is like a secret that I shouldn't say, but the idea of getting a console with roaches in it is disgusting. However, I worked at stores. I won't say specific stores or anything like that, where GameStop had some stores that were pretty small. Because of
very, very small storage areas.
Yes, and I kid you not, I worked at stores where the consoles were stored in the bathroom. Like straight up, you'd be, going to the bathroom middle of the day, taking a leak right next to a stack of Xbox 360s.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midnight Release. This is Austin.
And this is Chase. Glad to have you with us today. Hope you didn't have to wait too long in line. We've got a good one for you today. We're going to be going back to the GameStop-centric aspect in our story mode called Tales from the Trade-In. We're going to be getting into plenty of personal anecdotes around working at GameStop, the vibes back then, customers, practices, and the tales to share and reminisce about.
And Tales from the Trade-In just immediately thinks about different trades at GameStop and how the promos are different now, and they're not as good as they were. And just how new releases with promos used to get, you would get a ton of extras, and now I think they still do like a 5%, but then if you have the card, you may go to 10.
Oh, yeah. And just a side note and caveat, being that we are in the state of Kentucky, we have literally gone from 20 degrees or 70 degrees to 20 degrees back to 70 degrees. So I think both Austin and myself are kind of getting over a little bit of crud. So apologies in advance for any coughing that may occur during this episode. But no, back to what you just said. Yeah, I used to trade in a lot. I think I mentioned during the console wars, I swapped between systems all the time. But even their memberships have changed a bunch over the years. There's not nearly the value that there used to be. And I mean, I guess I get it and respect the model because, I mean, you have a business to run. But I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And do you remember some of the funny things that we used to have to say all the time whenever someone would call? Like the one that comes to mind for me all the time is like, thank you for calling GameStop. What was it? Thank you for calling GameStop, where the more you trade, the more you save. The
one we went to whenever there wasn't a game that we were thinking about.
Yeah, because I mean, it was that, and then some of them got really creative, but I know, if there was like a certain big game, like what Black Ops 7 just came out, so it'd be like, thank you for calling GameStop, where you can pre-order Black Ops 7, or something like that. I mean, it was always insane, and like you would get like tested on that, like if with secret choppers and stuff like that.
And then the amount of times that I would say it, and I said it so fast, like, thank you for calling GameStop, where you can more trade, more save. And I would get, what did you say?
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many times, too, just saying my name. People would think I said Jason. People would think I said Jazz. Like, they never got it right.
Well, it makes sense that we talk about card games during our bonus level, since we can talk about the fact that GameStop went to PSA grading as well.
Yes, yeah. So story mode, Tales from the Trade-In, GameStop centric. Yes, we're going to have a new segment called bonus level. We're going to get into more niche areas. So yeah, we're going to talk about trading card games and things today, which makes sense since that's all GameStop cares about these days. We are going to do another disc of the day segment as well. So that's going to be our side quests.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started on our story mode.
Sounds good. All right, jumping into the story mode, Tales from the Trade-In. All right, so we both started at GameStop kind of at different times. We kind of already talked about it, but I was there 2005 to 2011, and you were there
2010 until 2000 and
like 17, 18, something like that.
It was 18.
It was right after I moved.
Yeah, it was like middle of 18.
Yeah. So we've kind of got like, I mean, literally like 13 or 14 years of GameStop's life cycle like covered. And the amount of stories that go all the way back to, because we both started as part-timers. It was the first job that we wanted to get, and then we both advanced our way up to key holders, and then we became assistant managers, and then store managers.
Leaders.
Well, yeah, they called them leaders by the time you got there, but it was managers whenever I was there. And, for me, I very much, so I started working at a mall store. Now, I grew up in that mall. Like, I think I've already mentioned it in a previous episode, but I lived literally within walking distance of the mall. Was up there all the time, and got to know the people that worked there very, 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 very well. And that was the whole reason I even applied there.
Just speaking about what we were talking about a few minutes ago, 97, how old were you? You would have been,
In '97,
yeah.
in '97, I would have been 8.
Well, then you probably never met him. That's when he worked there.
Well, yeah. So the GameStop that I started at used to be a Babbage's, and for you all that may remember Babbage's, it had like the sawtooth shelving. And I don't know the lore as far as like if Babbage's changed their name or if GameStop, because we all know there was Babbage's, there was Funko Land, and then all those kind of became GameStop. And then GameStop
EB
bought,
Games.
well, and there was EB Games, but now they bought EB Games in 2005. That was shortly after I started, that they bought EB Games. And then it was in like 2006, I think it was, when they bought Rhino Games, which was like a
That
retro.
was what 707 or 5752 was.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
a Rhino.
Because I had to help remodel and convert that store and all that. But it was but Babbage's is where the GameStop that I started at in the mall in Jefferson Mall used to be a Babbage's, and yeah, I mean here I am, 14, 15-year-old kid hanging out. I was one of those annoying kids going into GameStop playing the demo units.
All right, we're not sitting on the interactives all day, man. Let's.
Yeah, I was one of those. Like I was one of those kids. I would walk to the mall after school. I'd go up into GameStop, and I hope they don't mind name drops or anything like that. But Lisa was my first manager that I worked for at GameStop. But there was a group there: AJ, Howie, the Pope, not the real Pope. We called him the Pope. And these were people that like I was a kid shopping there, and ended up becoming an employee and working there. I mean, it was awesome. It was such a cool thing.
Did you? So she was the first manager. She was the store manager when you got there, right?
Yeah.
But was she the store manager when it was Babbage's before, or was she?
No, I don't think so. And I feel like if I start speculating, then I'll get a text message. But I can't remember the specifics. But I just remember growing up with that group. And then, like, I was that annoying kid. And then I started working there. And here's something that I don't know if you feel the same way. But I, at that age, 15, 16, I was very much a introvert, not like talking to people, not sociable. Yes, I'm all those things now. Not that I enjoy any of it, but I can talk to people and everything else.
AKA, you don't like reading and have a master's degree.
In HR, of all things, right? But no, I firmly believe that every single teenager should work either service industry or retail.
I'll agree with that. Because, like, I was always super nervous, and obviously all I do now is talk to people. Like, it's what I made a career on, but it's like when I first got there, man, I would go to talk to people and I'd get so nervous selling stuff. And within like the first year or so, it just got easy.
Well, I remember like I was all good with like, as a part-timer, working 8-10 hours a week, all you were really doing was like alphabetizing the wall, alphabetizing the drawers. But you were told you had to greet everybody that came in, had to have a conversation, and I would get like so nervous, like just having to walk up to somebody, hey, how you doing today? And of course, well over that now, but I truly feel that every single kid should work either service industry or retail right out of the gate.
Yeah, and it was even like getting put in those uncomfortable situations is what made it easier to talk to people. Because like I remember like getting set up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I also had between the two managers that I first worked for, because I split. Actually, the mall store, I worked quite a bit for the guy individual that worked here, Tim. Who again, I'm not. If he doesn't want me named, my apologies.
No, it'd be all right. They know we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, they know. So he got me so much time because I would split between the store that I actually worked at, and then I would work for him 2 or 3 days a week.
Oh yeah, because I forgot he was at the mall by then.
Yeah, because I was working at my store. Usually, I would work on Sundays, and I'd work like one other day, and then I'd work 2 or 3 days for Tim from work or from school. I'd come home, I'd get off of school, and go work for him.
Well, and the thing is, I feel that the customer service industry, I guess, or people, the general public, or whatever, I feel like they're a lot worse now than they used to be. Like we have Karens, we have Kyles, all these things. And I think we had those back then for sure. But I definitely don't feel that it was as bad back then as it is now. And I mean, we could go on for days about, pissed off people and all that.
Well, and even like talking about like pissed off people, like I didn't even have that. I mean, you had them, but like where you would have them, like people would was like Black Friday's terrible. Like I didn't even have them on Black Friday really. Like even
No,
I remember one year I had somebody really mad because World of Warcraft was doing some special where you could get all the expansions for like $10 and we sold out like instantly, and they were real upset about that. But outside of that, I never had anybody get real mad at me, like even on the big holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot. I mean, I've got my fair share, but I feel like it's worse now. But one thing that was like a staple at GameStop, and that's where I feel like things are different now than they used to be. But maybe it's because we're not behind the counter anymore. But regulars, like having regular customers at very specific stores, even stores that were right down the street. Like J Mall and Timberwood are literally right down the street from each other. But there were regulars at J
I
Mall,
remember,
and there were regulars at Timberwood. Now, there were some regulars that started to go between stores. One that immediately comes to mind from Jefferson Mall, and I remember meeting him when I was a teenager as a part timer, and I continued to interact with him when I came back to that store as a manager. And I think you also had an interaction at some point, but we always like to call him the Mortal Kombat guy.
oh, I've had interactions. Well,
And
I remember when I was a store manager when I worked at 5752, which was towards like because I was there in probably 2016 or 17, 16. Um, he came in there.
oh wow, so he made it all the way
Yeah.
down Outer Loop at that point.
Yeah, you could tell he'd gotten older.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
Well, because that's the thing. I remember being 16, 17 years old, and that would have been 2005, 2006. So we're talking, you just said 12 years later. But this guy, so first off, awesome dude, very, very kind, very, very nice. But he loved Mortal Kombat.
and he was also super nice guy. But if you interacted with him, you were speaking to him for no less than 30 minutes, but you were probably speaking to him for an hour. And it didn't matter where you went, he was walking around. You could be doing the wall, reorganizing it completely, and he'd come over, stand, and just talk while you were doing it all.
Well, and the thing is, Mortal Kombat Deception, I think it was the newest one, or maybe it was Armageddon. Armageddon was the newest Mortal Kombat that had come out on PS2. And of course, it expanded beyond that on PS3 360. But they had where you could create your own characters, and you would start a conversation, and then next thing you know, like Austin just said, an hour later, you have now heard about every character that he ever created in the game. He definitely had a preference for the type of character. But what's so funny is so there's a lot of lore behind the Mortal Kombat guy. Everyone knew about the Mortal Kombat guy. I just said that I saw him when I was 16, 17, so 2005, 2006. What was so funny about the Mortal Kombat guy, we all knew it. Like, it was one of those things, depending on the type of day you were having, if you saw him come in the store, you may go to the back room and let somebody else talk to him because it was just one of those days. But I feel your first introduction, you didn't even know about the Mortal Kombat.
I was 16. I just started, and I was literally learning. And the guy walks in carrying his bag, just looking around. And at the time, we had to greet everybody on the floor, And Rob looks at me and kind of looks around and goes, "Go talk to him." And I'd 16, like we were just talking about, introvert, didn't really talk to people. Like,
and he probably dipped to the back, didn't
he? Oh no, he stood out there and watched the entire time while he was doing whatever he was doing. He was just sitting there smiling. I talked to him for an hour, and I didn't know what to say because he just went on tangents, and he was showing, which I don't remember. I don't know if he ever did this with you, but he used to have like a binder.
Yes.
In his bag.
Always had the binder.
And he would pull it out and show you, like, because he would draw characters and all kinds of stuff. So, like, he used to do that, like, consistently.
Oh, yeah. No. The binder was
I will never forget that. Rob set me up so bad on that. He literally went, "Go talk to him." And I'm like, I'm 16, not knowing. I'm just like, okay, I got to do my job. So I walk out there, talk to him. And I sat there. And that was when you were working 3 hours. So almost half your shift, you were talking to him. And you couldn't get anything done because you're trying to just – and he's one of those, like, he's not going to buy anything. Like,
Right. Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
when you talk to him.
So it wasn't about a sales pitch.
Yeah, it wasn't
or
about
anything.
sales. It was just you were just
he just
wanted to talk and interact.
And I will tell you this: I have no shame in saying this. Everyone grows, matures, whatever you want to call it. I 100% acknowledge that as a kid, and him coming in there and he would leave, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh," da 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 da, and like complain about it. I wouldn't make fun of the guy, but would complain about it. Thinking about that now, like as an adult, like this is somebody who was super passionate about a hobby, a thing of interest, didn't have anybody to talk to at home or whatever the case may be, and he found it at GameStop. Like that was something, and that's where again I don't think that GameStop is like that now compared to then. I don't shop in GameStop often, but I can't tell you the last time that even I went into a store and felt comfortable enough to like dig in and have a conversation with the employees. They all seem super irritated, super mad. They don't want to be there.
Well, and like even talking about what we talked about, like kind of in our intro, like the last time I went in to buy 2K26, and because I had some Switch games, like obviously they're like older Switch games, and I was like, get something for them. They're just sitting here, whatever. And they were doing some kind of promo, but like I said, it's lower now than what it used to be because they did. They would show you like, and then like I walked in and I was like, "Hey, I'm buying it on PC. Can I trade this in towards?" And she goes, and they looked at me and go, "I don't think it's going to work towards that." And I'm like, "Well, it's 2K. It's the promo is to trade it in towards 2K." And it's like,
it was you were probably you were getting digital currency or whatever the case may be.
No, I was actually buying the digital copy of 2K.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and at first they were like, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that, and it's like, well, that's the whole reason I'm trading in. And then they figured it out and we got it together. But then I had to go to a second store because the first store I walked into, they looked at me and just go, "Yeah, man, we got a big trade in right now. It's going to be a while."
Yeah, I mean, it's just but that whole thing, like, it's just different now than it used to be. And like the Mortal Kombat guy was like my first introduction to a regular, but like I think to a lot of my core memories, I guess, I mean, I have plenty of memories from the mall. Like, there's an insane amount of memories from the mall. But I remember, too, when I got out to Dixie, again, talking about regulars, that store was super slow. Like, literally, you would open.
Manor.
Yeah. You would open, and you would not see a customer, like a legit customer. So we opened at, 10? Yeah. You wouldn't see a customer maybe till noon.
You probably don't remember this, but I ran that store, too.
No, I did not know that. But the thing about Dixie Manor,
the only store on Dixie I didn't run was Park Place.
See, I did Park Place too. I did all three on Dixie at the time. I did Dixie Manor, did Park Place, and then Southland. We'll get to Southland because there's a lot of stories from Southland. But Dixie Manor, like, you'd have no customers till noon, which was great because we'd get our shipment and stuff at 9:30.
It made it to where you could get everything done.
Oh yeah,
that's how. Like when I worked Dixie, I remember that because very rarely were you busy in the morning to where whenever your next person got there, 1, 2, whenever it might be, you were completely done for the day. Like there was, you never had problems doing counts every week.
Yeah,
you never had
if you had trades come in or whatever, but like all your daily stuff, you'd have knocked out. But there was this dude, and I forget his name now. I feel like Tim's going to hear this and be like, dude, this was his name, but I can't remember it right now. Steven. Came to me right then. There was this guy, Steven, would come in regular. Again, super nice kid. Came in, played the demo units, just hung out, talk about his favorite games. It got to a point where, like, he'd be ready to go home at like 1 o'clock or something like that. Usually Tim or somebody else would come in. And I remember on the days where the weather was bad, he lived like 2 miles away, not far, but he walked to the store in the morning. And if it was raining or something, I'd give the kid a ride home. I mean, it was just, that was one of the things with the regulars. I remember at Dixie Manor, I had a group of regular customers that ended up becoming great friends. And I'm still friends with them on Facebook to this day.
Now, believe it or not, I have a couple from Dixie Manor. Keith and Keith, was his first name? Keith is one of them, and Jason. I talked to them all the time. They'd come in. There was my Greenbelt is the one that I had a guy. His name was Daniel. He came in every night. He was a karate teacher, and he would he had a dojo up the street. So whenever they would finish their class from the day, about 8:15, you'd see him roll in. You could tell if they had a hard day.
Right before close.
8:15. He'd hang out from 8:15 until roughly 5 till, and he's like, all right, man, I know y'all about to head out. Y'all have a good day. And he would walk out right almost in time. There's a lot of days that I remember it would be like right at 9, and he would look down and be like, all right, I'll let y'all close up. And then he would walk out, and I'd lock the door as he walked out because he was our last customer. But I remember him, we would talk about everything, and I never actually played games with him, but I talked to him a lot. Like, we talked about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I had uh, Jessica and Aaron and David and all them, and like we would play online. That's how it started. But like I legitimately like would hang out and like go stay at their house and stuff like that. Like I became really good friends with a lot of customers. And I mean, there's so many to this day. There's a guy, his name escapes me right now. I run into him every year at the Lexington Toy and Comic Con that I go to. I met him as a customer at GameStop. Couldn't tell you his name off the top of my head. It's one of those that probably comes to me when I see him. But he plays cards also. Like I've seen him at the card shop, but I met him working at GameStop.
I have me and Rob. Whenever I worked at 77, we had his name's Musselman.
Oh yeah.
Met him at GameStop. Him and me. Him.
Isn't that where all the long night Munchkin games came from?
The Munchkin games, and then we would, when I got to where I was driving on my own and stuff like that when I was 18, Musselman, it was every Wednesday usually. Me, Rob, Musselman, and we called him Coop. It was Musselman's cousin. We'd go out to eat the Applebee's.
Always with the Applebee's.
Or get some potato soup at O'Charlie's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, potato soup with
Get some potato soup at O'Charlie's.
Did you know that O'Charlie's is not there now?
There's only 2 now around this area.
Yeah, it's one of them crab places or something.
Yeah, which is good.
Is it? I ain't even over there.
I've been there.
Storm and Crab or something like that?
I've been there.
I mean, I don't think anybody needs any crabs. But anyway, no, but so speaking of crabs, actually, not really, but kind of. The other thing, though, we can talk about great regular customers all day long because we've had so many. But, and this whole thing is Tales from the Trade-In. I will tell you, it never happened at J Mall because that was the first store I worked at. But at Dixie Manor, I will never forget, and I know you had at least one of them, but someone that comes in with a console to trade in, you start looking at it, you go to plug everything up, and as soon as you turn it on, the infestation of bugs.
We used to get them at Greenbelt all the time.
Oh,
and
God.
then it got to a point where I was like, so they had us taking them but defecting them, and you had to, because you can't really clean that.
No, absolutely not.
And then you would just severely tape the box. Like there was so much tape. Like we would put so much tape on it that there's no way anything got out.
See, now I will say this: I very much remember Tim holding the line on. We're not taking it, like straight up. So we turned those things down.
We did that for a long time. Where if it would come in and there was stuff like that. Like there was one that I took in that I'll never forget it. It was dude, I don't even know what he did with this system, but you could just tell. And it was one of the old 360s, and he brought it in and said, "Hey, look, I want to trade this in. I just want cash for it." And I went to grab it, and
they always wanted cash, like that. Yeah.
And I went to grab it, and when I went to grab it, I was like, it was like, what color was the original 360?
White. It was probably yellow as hell.
It was brown.
Oh.
So I grabbed it, and I went, "This is not." So I went to grab it, and I like stopped for a second, and then I was like, and then I remember we had gloves from where we had stuff to clean. So I put a pair on beforehand this time, and I turned around, and when I turned around, I set it down on the back counter, and 2 of them shot out of the back of it. That's one of them I turned around and said, "Man, we're not taking this. Go on."
The only time in my life that I can say, actually 2 times in my entire life that I have seen, like when you think of cockroach, you think of, obviously there's a bunch of different cockroaches, but when you think of cockroach, the first time I ever saw one like that at all was coming out of a console, like straight up. That was the first time. The second time was a hotel experience, and I won't get into that. But I was not a smoker back then. I actually used to knock the fellow GameStop people that were smokers until I became a smoker. But I remember getting consoles that were like brown or yellow because people smoked inside their house and being so disgusted. Now, even as a smoker, that still disgusts me because I don't smoke inside. But it was just like, if you've ever seen a video on TikTok, on YouTube, and you've seen that or seen people imitate it. That really happened. Like we legitimately had, and feel like this is like a secret that I shouldn't say, but the idea of getting a console with roaches in it is disgusting. However, I worked at stores. I won't say specific stores or anything like that, where GameStop had some stores that were pretty small. Because of
very very small storage areas.
Yes, and I kid you not, I worked at stores where the consoles were stored in the bathroom. Like straight up, you'd be going to the bathroom middle of the day, taking a leak right next to a stack of Xbox 360s. Like straight up, like that was because the stores were so small. That's where you had to have the systems. And you hear that, you're probably like, "Well, that's disgusting." Well, you got to work with what you got, I guess. But I mean,
I will say that's something we never had systems in a bathroom.
Yeah, no, I see. That may have been before your time. Maybe they rectified that before you got there. But the other thing, because I'd rather not relive the cockroach stuff too much. Just acknowledge that it did happen. But the other thing about Dixie Manor, and I'm sure you had the same thing. Now, we talked in our first episode about midnight launches and stuff. I don't think we brought this up very specifically, but Red Bull really, I don't know when Red Bull started, but I definitely feel like it started blowing up in the era that we've been talking about. At Dixie Manor specifically, the Red Bull rep would come in like 2 or 3 times a month and give us cases of Red Bull.
We didn't have that, but we had at midnights. We had the Red Bull girls that drove around the Red Bull car.
Oh yeah, with the little truck.
Yeah,
with
they had the coolers and stuff like that. Now they would give employees numerous amounts of Red Bull.
No, we got yeah.
No, I mean it's Monster now.
Yeah,
so.
it's a Monsters thing now. But I mean, I don't know if it was because Dixie they just kind of went up and down everywhere, but we would have them bring in they would bring in packs and packs. We had a mini fridge in the back and all that. But they would, at midnight launches, they would do the same thing for us at Dixie. They would show up with the truck and give some out to other people. And
do you remember the hallway at Dixie Manor?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because it was beside B-Dubs.
I forgot all about that. Yes, if you had to take the trash out, that was a very eerie freaking hallway.
And it was gross.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Like the layer of... I always wondered what it was. Is it like... I guess it was like grease that had spilled all over the floor, but like... I was worried. Like, there was a time that, like, whenever I would go take it out, I wouldn't go that way to take it out. Like, I'd just go around
the building. No, yeah. When you walk through that hallway, like, you could literally. It was like, I don't know if I could do the sound, but it was like your feet stuck the whole way.
It was gross.
Back. It was so disgusting. I forgot B-Dubs was right there.
Yeah, which is not anymore.
Is it not?
No, now it's a soap place.
Really? Mm-hmm. See, I haven't been at Dixie Highway.
But I don't go to Dixie anymore.
I mean, there's a few reasons to get out there, but I just haven't been over there.
Yeah, well, that's what it's kind of. But the other thing is too, like, it's weird because like I had always worked in stores that had like your back room. Literally, it would just when you left your back room through the exit, it would go straight out into a parking lot. And then I got to Dixie and started working stores on Dixie, and all the stores on Dixie had a hallway.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird.
No, and like you said, that was super disgusting. Like, the mall store obviously had one, but it's a mall, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense, too.
Yeah, but no, that one was
absolutely But it was
disgusting.
different, like, because it was like a collective, like, mall employee, which everyone knows, like, a mall has, like, back, like, a section in the back for employees to walk through, to walk in, like, employee entrances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's common knowledge everywhere around. Every mall has it. So...
Well, actually, before I lose this thought, because I meant to bring this up during the console wars, that employee entrance that you're talking about with the mall, when the Wii came out. So this also allows me to tell this Wii story that I didn't get to tell. So when the Wii came out, they had very specific rules for us not to, like, employees couldn't like do anything special to get the console. Like, you had to wait just like everybody else. So I wanted to get a Wii, and so I had to go wait in line like everybody else. Well, perks of being an employee, we could get in the employee entrance in the mall. The mall opened to walkers at 9. The doors opened at 10. I showed up at 8, came in the employee entrance, got lined up. Every other person that managed to get in the mall got in before 9 o'clock, and got in line. There were 10 Wii's at that store. 10 people managed to get in a different entrance and were lined up. Mall security was furious, and they ended up having to make a decision. And they came and told all of us, said, "Okay, all of you all need to listen to what I'm saying." He said, "We are going to tell everyone that we opened the entrance down by FYE first, and all of you all were down there." He said, "The reason I need you all to agree to this is because there is a horde of people at the food court, which was the primary entrance." He said, "When they run down here and realize there are no consoles left, they're going to throw a fit on us on how you all got in early." And it did. It turned into a shit show. Everyone, like, you heard the horde running from the food court, and everyone was furious. They were yelling at security, all this stuff, and we all had to lie and say that they opened the other door early for us to get down there. But the Wii,
because that's back before Nintendo didn't want to do midnight launches. There
No.
for a long time.
And this wasn't a midnight launch. This was because you remember how tight the supply was.
Oh yeah, it was just a re-release of the.
Yeah, it was just, the stores were getting X amount of quantity and all that. When the Wii was going through all its stuff, I was at Dixie, and our shipments always got there about 9:45, right before open. And those, if you remember, the Wii's came in boxes of 3, and
didn't work, and they weren't new when I was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because
yeah, so because that was 2007.
No, wait, no. We did have Wii's because 2000. When did we say the Wii U came out? It was like 2012, right?
Oh yeah, so they still had Wii's then, but they were probably readily available by the time you were there.
Yeah, we never had problems getting them.
But I kid you not, I had people calling, asking us to hold them, all kinds of things, all the time.
Which we were not doing.
We're not allowed to do. We had people show up, and wait in line at our doors and all that. Hands down, and I guarantee that every single person we ever worked with at GameStop has a story like this. The most ridiculous thing that I was ever offered to hold a Wii. So UPS came in, 9:45. I walk him to the back, and I hear somebody knock on my door. And it was a very traditionally attractive woman at the door. And I walk up to the door, and I open it. I was like, "Can I help you?"
Talking about the back room door? Or
No.
Were you talking about the gate?
The front door. No, the gate was already open because I had to open it for UPS. And I opened the door. I was like, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" She was like, "Did you get any Wii's on your shipment today?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Let me go check." So I shut the door. I went back and checked. And I did not, or I did have, I had 3 of them in one box, and it was just the white one, I think it was. And so I walked up, and we literally opened in 15 minutes. And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "I do." I said, "I've got 3 of them." And she said that she had to run her kids to school. They were sitting in the car. And if I could hold one for her. I told her, I said, "I can't. I'm sorry." I said, if you get back here and I have it, it's great. She legitimately offered to flash me. Like, that's what her offer was. She's like, "If I flash you right here, or if you let me in the store and I flash you, will you hold one for me?" I was like, "No, I'm sorry." Like, even as I was probably 19 at the time, even as a 19-year-old, I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to work." It was hysterical. Like, I laughed very much at it, Sadly, though, she did come back, and we were already sold out. So she was very angry. We were talking about angry Karens earlier. That was a very bad experience when she came back and the Wii was sold out.
So, and then, like, just speaking of, like, being sold out of stuff, did you ever have, like, do you remember whenever somebody had something reserved, what the hold policy was?
Well, I think it depended on the game or if it was a system, but it was like 48 hours.
No, it was very flat in general. When I was
there was a little bit of flexibility, but I know they got real rigid.
They got real rigid where if it was 48 hours, because what was happening was we were having people. We would call them and give them every benefit of the doubt that we could. We would call after the first day, especially if they had a collector's edition and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We would call and say, "Hey, look, we technically can only hold this for 48 hours. Are you going to come get it?" Now, on occasion, if they already had it reserved and they said, "Hey, look, I'm out of town. I'm this. I'm that." Whatever it might be.
Yeah, special circumstances.
We may hold for it. There was a lot of times that it would happen, and then technically you're out of the 48-hour window.
Oh, and you have to sell it?
You have to sell it. And then, like, 72 hours after they come in, they're like, "Hey, I want to pick my game up." And it's like, "Sorry, there's not anything I can do about it." And then you would have to call. I remember calling places all over the U.S.
Oh, to try and have them ship them? Oh, especially in those special edition situations. Now, I will tell you, too, there was, and I know we're going to get kind of into some policy stuff and all that a little bit, but I remember. So with midnight launches, we mentioned before how we were able to get people in and out really fast. One thing that wasn't a thing early on did become a staple, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about with pre-ringing. It became the staple. You would actually ring everything through
It got
early,
yeah,
and then at pickup time you would just verify receipts. Just
depending on the game, you would either 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. You was when pre-ring would start. Like
Yeah.
COD was, since it was a bigger title,
You'd
we
start
always pre-ring
pre-ringing,
at 7,
yeah.
and at 9 for any of your basic games, like whenever you technically close.
Yeah,
Because what we would do is, and actually I think it was 9:30, because we would close for 30 minutes, get the store completely ready for the following day if we had to, because you don't really have a lot of traffic for,
right.
like we talked about, for some of the games when they started doing midnights.
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about in a couple episodes
20,
ago.
30 people.
There's some you didn't even have that.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had 10 or 15. So you didn't really have traffic in your store.
Yeah.
So you would close, get everything ready. You would pre-ring everybody.
Right.
The amount of times, which I'm sure this is what you're getting into, that instead of, I believe it was F6 to add and F9 to pick up, or F7 to pick up.
I've been sitting here trying to figure out what the function
I think
keys
F7.
were.
I'm pretty sure it was F7 to pick up. I can't remember what the add money is.
I think it was. I feel like F11 was add money and F7 was pickup.
And the amount of times, if you didn't have somebody that did this all the time, like you had, especially like, so just going in a little backstory, like when you would fill your store for holiday, your holiday employees usually started end of September, beginning of October.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah,
that's how it would work. So all the games release
November,
October, November area.
Yep.
So sometimes you would have some of your holiday employees helping you on the pre-releases, and you would explain to them how to go, but you can't stand over them because you're dealing, and then that it would cause a nightmare. Inventory would be up and down.
I cannot tell you how many times, there became a point by the time I left GameStop. I think it's a fair assessment to say when I left GameStop, I was probably one of, if not the most seasoned employee in the district, or close to it, because a lot of people there had been turnover and things like that. I can't tell you how many times there'd be a midnight and then there would be inventory issues and I'd be asked to go over and check it out or whatever. And how many times that's all it was. Somebody had hit pay off instead of pick up, Now what was bad though, and I did encounter this a time or two, where people would assume that was the issue and then they would pick it up and balance out the inventory. Mm-hmm. And then the person showed up the next day to get their game.
They did end up changing it, and I remember, to where you could see when the payoff happened.
Yeah.
So you could check the date.
Well, yeah, no, I know they
and that's what we would do is, like, because if your payoff was after the pre-ring time started, that's obviously what happened. Right. Is they didn't pick up, and it was like that.
Yeah.
That's what ours typically was.
Well, and talking about midnight launches and new hires and seasonal workers and things like that. Like, I will say this, people, you already said it. People criticize Black Friday and talk about the horror stories and all that. I think we always had great experiences for Black Friday. I know I loved working Black Friday at GameStop. Like, it was such a good time. There's some funny stories. Like, I feel like there was one time. So I got to a point. So we have established that I don't care about my health when it comes to work.
He's usually better now.
Yeah, I do a little better now. Post-COVID, I consider those things a little more. But there was a time.
I thought it was just because of your age.
Well, there's that too. I got a lot of gray going on today, by the way. I got to shave. But there was a time where, so we all know that Black Friday used to start at like 4 a.m. and then it backed up to midnight and then it backed up to into Thanksgiving. And
when you were there, it was only like it opened at midnight, but it didn't actually like.
No, so but I had left GameStop by the time it got earlier than that.
When it was Thanksgiving, it was one of my last years, because it was when I was at Greenbelt, and we worked 3 to 9 is what we were open, and then I had to be back at 5. Because if you remember, our schedules were set for us that week.
Oh yeah.
So when you would get on, I don't know how they do it now. Obviously, I've been gone a long time, 7 years. So they would have your month of November schedule was very strict, and they would post a schedule and say, this is what store managers are working. This is what we expect store leader or assistant store managers to work. And this is and then you kind of filled in everything else.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it was very strict. And if you had to change anything on that schedule, it had to be from a DM approval.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't.
Well, and that's the thing. Store managers back then, we were salary. We had mandatory 6-day work weeks.
There was two, right? It was Christmas week, Thanksgiving week.
Well, no, it was mandatory 6-day work weeks, basically from like Black Friday all the way.
So
to
they changed that whenever.
Oh yeah, no, it was like 6-day work weeks from like Black Friday week all the way to like second week of January.
But that's right, because maybe they did. Maybe Amanda did come in because they did the thing where you could. So part of your 6-day work week was you were off the day before Thanksgiving until they wanted you to come in at like 9 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
So they obviously loosened up by the time that because when it was very just nope, 6 days. Like, and now of course I generally work 7 days a week, but what I'm getting at is on Black Friday, I went to one store and worked from midnight until 3. From midnight until like 3 a.m. And then I went to my store where I had to work at my store from 4 and I worked till close, all the way until 10 p.m. And it was just this ridiculously long shift. Like literally I was at one store and then I went to my store and then I worked all the way till close. I kid you not. So before we recorded this, I was able to find that old Mario costume picture, but I went on Facebook and I found the picture that is of me laying on a stack of consoles, taking a nap, using one of my employees' jackets as a pillow.
I remember that.
If I could pull it up on my phone, we're recording on my phone, but I'll have to show you after this. But it was like I had a great time on Black Friday. Yes, I fell asleep in the back, and it's probably not healthy, and all that. But it was such a great time. Like I always enjoyed Black Friday.
Yeah, I had I remember. I think I was in SGA, and Amanda's best friend, her name was Christy. She lived right around the corner from the store. And for some reason, so there was something wrong because Rob had to work. Rob came in at like 11 and was working like 11 p.m. to close. Because if I remember right, didn't they give store assistants overtime that week too?
From what I remember, no, but probably.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they just had them working an extremely long shift on Black Friday or something like that. Rob worked some like 11 to midnight or 11 to 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I believe it.
Me and Amanda worked midnight to like 9 or midnight to something. Left. We went to Christy's house, slept until like 3, and then
came back.
Came back because at the time I was 18, but something had happened to my car. Well, I got dropped off, and then Amanda drove me over to Christy so we could sleep, and then went from there back.
Well, see, I had that same kind of scenario because since I lived in Oklahoma, but I work on Dixie, I can't tell you how many times I'd do a close and open, a clopen, and I would go and stay with actually Chris and his wife Tabitha. Chris worked with me at GameStop, but they lived right behind the store. So I'd go crash there for 4 hours so that I could come back and open. So again, talking about, customers and all that, and our employees that, again, we're all still friends today,
Well, it's funny. We talked about it like Musman, like at the car shop. Like I met him. I saw him 2 or 3 weeks ago when I went up there. He was there buying comics.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, So obviously, all of our group were really we all worked there together, but essentially, it all stems off of that. We work together, or customers, or whatever the case may be. Which next week's episode, we're going to have Austin's brother and Howie.
Which we'll go ahead and forewarn everybody. There is going to be a Gears soapbox.
Oh my gosh,
it's going to happen.
He is so angry that we did not talk about Gears of War enough. He's gonna, and
there will be a Gear soapbox. Just so you all know, there will be a little section of a Gear soapbox from the one and only Wayne.
And I tell you what, before we wrap up our story mode, the one thing about GameStop that we did not talk about, that was my favorite thing about working at GameStop, conference, man. And I tell you, to this day, it is 2025. I have not worked at GameStop since 2011. Every year in August. I don't even know if they still do it.
So they moved it to where they were doing it
like virtually or something?
In Nashville.
Oh.
So they were doing it in Nashville, and then they stopped doing it and were doing it virtually. And then they went and was doing it. They went back, I want to say it was last year, to Vegas.
See, my very first conference.
I actually have, since we're using your phone. Keep going.
Yeah,
I think I still
have.
My
first conference was in Vegas. Now, I was 19 years old at the time, so I didn't even get to enjoy Vegas. But
I was 20 whenever I went to Vegas for the first time. So the same thing.
So, but anyone who is familiar with like E3 or Tokyo Game Show or any of those
it is literally
exactly what it was. It was an E3 for GameStop managers. Obviously, there was some very work-centric stuff. Oh, man, there's so many people in that picture. Holy crap.
This is my first conference.
Yeah. See,
so what you all are obviously not seeing is this is my first conference as a GameStop store manager. And I don't know if they did it whenever you were there. I'm sure they did. They had a whiteout on your first day. Everybody wore white shirts.
Yeah,
like that's what
I don't remember that.
On our first day, they did that was the requirement is you had to wear, because you remember we'd all go in the room and it's just a giant room full of GameStop managers, and they would be like set up by region and district.
Did they have Wally Collins as the host then, or was it somebody else? We always had Wally Collins.
We had
Oh, it wasn't Arsenio, was it?
No, it was hang on.
No, but these things were nuts. Like, they were absolutely insane. My first one was Vegas.
What's his name?
And then
it's Kevin Pereira.
Who?
He was a comedian.
Well, yeah, I figure that, but the name rings a bell. Oh wow! I did not know that you
so
had
he was
him.
So he wasn't the host of the entire conference, but he was the Nintendo host.
Oh,
so just going into a quick conference thing real quick.
Yeah.
The Nintendo room was the best room.
Was Reggie still
Reggie was there.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Reggie?
I never got to meet him. He came out on stage. Actually,
gosh.
no. Doug Bowser came out on stage.
Okay, so Bowser had...
If I remember...
I can't remember when Bowser took over. But...
Something was going on. No, Bowser was second in command at the time.
Okay, gotcha.
But Reggie was still over it, I believe. And then Bowser came in, which is a fantastic name for a Nintendo executive. Fantastic name.
He was born to take, which I think he's retiring, actually.
Is he really?
But no,
because is Reggie still over GameStop? Because he took over and came and helped with GameStop.
He did, but no, he's not anymore. But I remember meeting Reggie. He was still over Nintendo, but it was at conference. But that first conference was Vegas, which was amazing. And we've already heard some of the name drops, Tim, Lisa, but also our DM in this era, which to this day, so I will look, shout out.
He is a great guy. Because if it's depending on which one it is.
I'm talking about Chris. You're talking about somebody totally different.
Well, I thought you had Locke too.
Well, I did, but I had Chris is the GOAT. The reason that I am where I am today, professionally and as a person, I would say I give a lot to Tim, a lot to Lisa, and a lot to Chris. Now, the reason I went into HR of all things is also because of GameStop, but that is not a story for here. But that was my first conference, though. Chris was the DM. Lisa wasn't there. She had already left, but Tim was there. Brad, all them. But Vegas was the first conference, and it was, to this day, I have some of the best memories for those 4 days.
My best conference memory, or not best, I have a lot of really good memories. Some of them we're not going to get into.
That's fair.
Yeah, some of them we're not going to get into. I was in the same room as Mark Hamill.
Yeah, okay, that's legit.
I
don't think we ever had anybody like that.
Oh, Tony Hawk was there.
We did. I remember
Tony was there. Ric Flair was there. Mark Hamill was there.
That's insane.
So,
considering Star Wars is like your shit,
but he wasn't there for Star Wars.
Oh, was he there for Batman?
He did the Joker laugh.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So that was there. That was fantastic.
Was that at the Vegas one or Anaheim? I know you went to Anaheim too.
First Vegas one, I believe.
Yeah, see, I did Vegas, and then I did San Antonio, and I only did 2 conferences. And San Antonio was fine, but the thing about Vegas too,
Anaheim was fantastic.
Well, see, the thing about Vegas for me, Rock Band hadn't come out yet, so I got to play Rock Band early on a stage.
I remember. Let me see this.
Like the calendar years of when these were.
So, here's something funny about real quick because we do probably need to wrap up.
Yeah. We'll be pivoting over to our side quest in just a little bit.
I was 20, and in Vegas, I don't know if they did it with you. They wouldn't let me have a room by myself because I was only 20.
They were rooming people together anyway.
Well, they made me room with Josh.
That may have been why. Oh, really?
So me and Josh were in the room together.
See, I roomed with I think Donald in Vegas. I think
so. I roomed. Now, that's the only time I ever roomed with somebody.
That's fair.
The other 2 times because.
Maybe that was why. I never thought about that because I was 19.
So I roomed with Josh because Josh was the SLT at the time.
Yeah.
So they had me room with Josh. It was fun. It was great. Josh is a great dude. Super good. Whenever I became a store manager, and a lot of the people that I knew had left.
Oh yeah, we were all gone.
Buchanan, Josh is who I call for everything. Man.
Yeah,
and he was a fantastic guy. Ended up being a district leader for a while. Like
that's right. I remember you telling me that.
He was a great dude.
Everybody was.
He answered everything that I needed. I could call him for anything, and he would be like, "Look, man, this is probably how I do this. Let me see if I can get a better answer for you." Like he was a great guy.
It is insane to think about this place that we worked when we were teenagers, kids for all intents and purposes, and the impacts that the people that we experienced, both from a coworker standpoint, from a leader standpoint, from a customer standpoint, like that we still retain memories of these things.
Yeah. So, but I think that probably wraps up our story mode. Let's go ahead and get into our side.
Oh, yeah. In general, we're going to be able to have plenty of times to pivot back to more GameStop stories without a doubt.
And there's going to be a lot of conference stories.
Oh, there is no doubt about that. But yes, side quests today. First is going to be Disc of the Day. So, Disc of the Day really is going to be not just one singular game. It is a singular game for me, but this was before Austin's time at GameStop. But Grand Theft Auto, GTA. More specifically, San Andreas. Now, did you play San Andreas on PS2?
So, fun fact, with my father's career line, until I was 18, he would not allow Grand Theft Auto in the house. Which is funny enough, because San Andreas is the reason.
Well, so I was the same. I could only play GTA if I was at my cousin Biggin's, because my mom wouldn't let me play it. But then I got caught by my aunt playing it, and she got mad. But anyway, San Andreas, and I don't know if anyone else is familiar with this, but San Andreas had a glitch, or a bug, if you will, in it called hot coffee. And so it was designed to be in the game. And it was a scene that basically you had to unlock in some weird way that was extremely... What's the acronym? NSFW, not safe for work? Like, very inappropriate from San Andreas. I was working at GameStop at the time when this came out. This was such a big deal. We had to pack up and ship back every copy of San Andreas that was in the store. And then they sent an email with the way to differentiate, like with serial numbers on the discs. We couldn't take trade-ins on it anymore. We had to wait until they reissued, and what they did is they reissued it as the greatest hits. But there are, like, if you have a PS2 copy of San Andreas, if you Google the serial number with the hot coffee, like those...
You obviously don't remember it.
Those go for... I don't remember what?
The serial number.
Oh, no.
You remember numbers sometimes.
I
so
do remember numbers.
Like...
But no, like, I was looking, when we were coming up with this topic, I looked on eBay. And there are people selling copies of San Andreas with the hot coffee hack or glitch or whatever for several $100s.
That's insane.
But it was, in GTA in general, I think anyone who is anyone, when they think about foul, inappropriate games, they think of GTA. Like,
so GTA 5 is the first one that I take that back. We played GTA 3 back in the day.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, with my dad, who later was like, "No, we ain't doing that." But GTA 5 was the first one, and I will never forget. I turned 18 year GTA 5 came
I'm
out.
sorry, we have to acknowledge the fact also about GTA 6 getting delayed.
Very upset about that, because it's going to be fantastic to do Hood Red stuff with my Hood Red friends.
Oh my gosh. Go back. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
So the ESRB rating, we'll get into that. We'll get into a story with that here in a second, and you know the story.
ESRB, for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, you've got movies rated, G, PG, PG-13, rated R. For games, it's E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature. And we would get secret shopped on this at GameStop, and it was a big deal.
We had to see an ID for no matter how old you were. There wasn't like they look 40 at the time. Like, no, you checked an ID no matter what.
And look, GTA was the game. Like, when a parent would come up with their kid and put GTA, whether it was back in this era, so we're talking San Andreas, Vice City 3, or we jump to the next gen and we talk about 4, they bring in the game like, are you aware this game is rated mature? Parent would be like, oh, what's that mean? GTA, I always had the exact same spiel. Look, it's got sex, drugs, blood, gore, violence.
What we started doing is if they brought a game up, you would flip it. And again, if you're not familiar, the ESRB rating is on the case.
Oh, yeah, and it has the description.
On the front, it just says the ESRB.
On the back, yeah.
When you flip it, it has the entire description. So the entire description for GTA was blood, sex, drugs,
nudity at a certain point.
Like it was, and it.
Well, and you see, that was the whole issue with San Andreas. Their M rating didn't have nudity. The hot coffee was a very nude, provocative scene. They did re-release that with an AO rating, actually. There's only like 5 games in existence, I think, with the AO rating.
So, but what I was getting at with the GTA 5 before we go back to that believe it or not, on the year Christmas of the year I turned 18. So I kind of referenced it a couple episodes ago, but we had like 6 Xbox 360s in one room for me and all of my
parties
friends.
And all that.
My dad bought 6 copies of the GTA 6, so every console had it.
Oh,
so
GTA
we could,
5.
Or GTA 5, sorry. So we could all play it, and we would all play it together, and he was playing it with us on his console.
The humor and the irony in that is
great.
Beyond.
So, but the ESRB rating, if I was there, but I wasn't the one that this actually happened to. This grandpa brings up a copy of GTA 5.
I don't know if I know this story.
Rob was sitting at the counter.
Oh, Lord.
He hands the copy
this
of GTA 5
to Rob. This can only go one
Rob.
direction.
And Rob goes, this game's rated M for mature. Is that okay? This game's rated M for mature 4 and lists all of them. And the guy looks at him and goes, what? And Rob goes, it's rated M for, and does it again. And the dude said, no, you're not buying this game. It's got titties in it. And he said, your mom would kill me.
Oh, my God.
And then he turned around and go get another game. It was so funny because we had that all the time. And Chase, I know you.
Oh, dude.
Where they would bring their grandparents or something and try to dupe them into getting the game. And then their moms would come back later like, why were they sold this game? They weren't. An adult was.
Well, and that was the thing, too. I did navigate my fair share of people trying to buy GTA games, and they would just, in the mall, this was really, really bad. Where people would just go find some random person and then try and bring it for you.
Yeah.
But I navigated that so much. I remember as a store manager, I had to fire or terminate employees for selling a mature rated game to someone under 17. So, but big thing with Disc of the Day today was really just GTA, talking about that whole thing about hot coffee. If you weren't familiar with that, and if you have a GTA San Andreas at home, Google that serial number. Let's jump into our other side quest. So we're going to do bonus level, which is really, like I said, we're going to talk about kind of niche areas of fandom, which today specifically is around trading card games and grading and all of that. Now, we will eventually likely do a whole episode around this because that is another piece of our fandom. But bonus level, that's going to be this segment here. And, you know, when you think about card games and nostalgia, everyone thinks of the same thing. Pokemon. Like every time. Like 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Some would argue Magic, I guess, but Pokemon is what people think.
But Magic is, if you go to a card shop and say it, yes. But if you're anywhere in the public, because Pokemon is so big now, but it's all big because of grading and collector side of it. Because Pokemon is so big in general.
Well, and that's the thing. When we grew up, like, it was all about, and I would argue we grew up in 2 different Pokemon generations, but it was all about collecting. It wasn't even really about playing as much, but then it pivoted to playing. It was your era more
mine
playing.
Was always playing.
See, mine, it was all collecting.
I mean, I used to play.
Oh, competitively, yeah. I played one time at a Toys R Us event where you could get each of the little gym badges. So we've established that I suck at multiplayer games. That also includes card games. That is a multiplayer game.
Chase is not great at any game that includes more than one person.
Yeah.
Card, board.
Yeah, so he's basically saying I'm really good at playing by myself. So take that
very
good, I guess.
Very good at playing by myself.
But the thing with cards now, so we can talk about the games and how much fun they are to play and the collecting back then. But now, dude, there is this chronic obsession with the grading. So much now that GameStop's built like their whole business model around it. And I don't get it to a degree.
To me, it's a sad error because that's not. Now, I will give it to them. GameStop is still trying to come back. They're messing with retro a lot more now. They are attempting to do other stuff to keep the game store live. Like they just did a midnight. I talked to you about it. They just
Black Ops 7.
We were speaking about Midnight's episode, our first episode. They are trying to bring them back. I don't know how well they did. I don't know how big they were.
Yeah, I feel like that was the worst game to try and bring that back.
With how much COD is now and things are.
Yeah,
I can see it. Now, I mean, there is still a huge competitive scene in COD, whatever.
If GameStop's going to bring back Midnight's, I think we all know what game to bring it back.
And it's probably never coming out because it continues to get put out.
But back to the card stuff. Like, the thing about trading cards, like, I think we've already said this before, but when we grew up, if you were into Pokemon cards or Magic cards or anything, and it really was back then, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, that was really the big three. And if you did any of those, you got made fun of, you got ridiculed, you got...
And now it's the craze. Everybody's doing it.
Everybody. If I had a penny for every scalping video that I've seen on TikTok for the Pokemon stuff and everything
have you seen the TikTok videos of the guys that act like little trolls and they get real small? You know what I'm talking about? They're like, Pokemon, here's my shillings.
Yeah. I mean, now I will say it is, from a hobby perspective, playing is a lot of fun. I will say that. These games and things are fun. But for people who want to get into collecting and things like that, there is this assumption that, oh my gosh, I see all these people making all this money. It is not that kind of thing. Like, if you're wanting to get into collecting cards and you want to try and make money, you are going to spend a shit ton.
Dude, my best friend, like outside of like our friend group, like Jacob he does this and he has PSA 10s. He's got cards that are worth almost $2,000.
It's
insane to me.
Well, and that's the thing, because you can pull, I don't know what the ratios are, but if you pull a card, so literally you can have a card, there's a website called TCG Player, you can look up the value, and let's say that card raw, which means right out of a pack, is worth $200. You're going to pay somebody like a GameStop $30 or whatever to send it off, to get graded, where they're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and then send you back a slab, and it's going to be graded 1 through 10 or whatever. But apparently like a 7 or 8 is basically worse than raw from what I've heard. So really 9 and 10.
It's virtually the same, but if you get a 9 or 10, it
could take that 200 card and make it 5, 6, 7, 8, even more.
Yeah.
100, thousands of dollars. I will say I feel the need to mention, like, I play a few different games. I think we, so we said the big three back in the day: Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh.
There's so many now.
Oh my god! Now, I mean, there's Dragon Ball, there's One Piece, there's Star Wars, there's Gundam.
What's Scott playing? Riftbound.
Oh yeah, that new
the League of Legends game. Yeah,
but no, Magic now is doing a bunch of these collaborations. So they did a Final Fantasy collab.
They just came out with an Avatar one.
They did do Avatar, but they did a Spider-Man one. And I kid you not, I wasn't even planning on playing or nothing. Howie and then Jacob at Comic Book World had asked me about the pre-release event. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Went to this pre-release event, and I see you rolling your eyes. He was like, you want to buy any packs? I was like, well, because I always buy packs when I go to the card shop. I was like, yeah.
Because there still is nothing like just cracking a pack.
Yeah. And he proceeds to tell me there's regular packs and there's like collector's packs. And I was like, what's the difference? Well, first off, price difference I almost ran from very quickly. But I was like, you know what?
And there's more card games that are doing that now, which I'll finish the story and I'll talk about that.
Well, what was so funny is he's like, I got a collector pack right here. It was right in front of him. I was like, fine, let me give that collector pack. So I buy this pack and I open it, and literally the card I pull, I'm looking at it. I was like, hey, look, I got a Soul Stone. Everyone starts going crazy in the shop. Jacob comes over, gives me a sleeve. This card was the card to get. And then he proceeds to tell me the story. The guy who was right before me was going to buy 2 collector's packs, decided to buy 1 collector pack instead. So that pack that was sitting in front of Jacob was the second one that guy would have bought, but he only bought 1. That card wound up, it was right then, it was like a $2,300 card. So when we talk about, cards and collecting and stuff, yeah, you definitely could get lucky, but it is no different than going to Vegas.
No, and it's just like, remember I bought that. When you buy it, you're not buying it for that. Like, I buy them to play the game. Well, my last Star Wars box, I texted you about it.
Oh, you pulled that Palpatine.
Yeah, I pulled a Palpatine, Showcase Palpatine. That's a $160, $170 card. And I have no interest in ever selling it. I literally built a deck just to play the Palpatine card. Like, that's what I did.
Yeah, and the thing about card games, like, there's a whole thing now from a modern perspective. But I will tell you this, from a nostalgic retro throwback perspective, it, the store that we play cards at right now, Comic Book World, I grew up in that store. I bought a single Charizard, Blastoise, and a Venusaur
from
back
that
then.
store. We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, yeah. And look, anyone listening that have your old Pokemon cards,
They were money.
your kids' old Pokemon cards, find them and sleeve them, and hold on to those, because it definitely, if there's one thing that I make it a point to live life with no regrets. Like I say that all the time. I very much regret giving away all of my Pokemon cards to my buddy Quentin's cousin back in the day.
So if you remember this card right here,
Is it a Xerneas card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked this card up. Remember, I used to play because whenever I was playing competitive, this was my deck. I played the Xerneas deck. Well, I found it the other day. Remember, I Googled it and texted you about it.
Yep.
This card, this was obviously not a PSA 10, but if this card was a PSA 10, what did I tell you it was?
Like $2,500 or something.
No, it was up there. It was like $1,600, $1,700.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow.
Well, that's what my niece found a bunch of old cards.
Yeah.
She's got the Zygarde from that same set.
But
yeah, when it comes to trading cards, that is such a big aspect of what we do. We will likely do a whole
especially
story.
now.
Yeah, we'll do a whole story mode on it for sure. But the thing about it is, it's obviously what GameStop's building their model around now. And if it's something that you're into, just understand it's no different than going to the casino. But it was another long one today.
It was.
Let's go ahead and get to our save point. But I'll tell you what, though, everything we talked about really took me back. I mean, GameStop was my first job. I applied to it before I even, got my permit. And it's just talking about all these things. It just takes me back. And I mean, I get the warm and fuzzy anytime we talk about old stories, but those stories specifically just make me feel good.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like, it really does. The good old days. Like, and it's just like speaking about the people that originally gave me a chance. Like, Scott's really the reason that I was even given a chance at first. But like, I mean, Amanda she hired me. She helped me get promoted. Like, I'm so thankful for that. Like, and being there, Tim helping me when I first got there. Tim, I remember when I was 17, Tim was trying to find a way that I could be one of his key holders at 17.
Yep,
so like that, just things like that.
Man, and I feel like it's the butterfly effect thing, I think is what it's called, where like, one event sets up or triggers X other events to happen over, a period of time. And it is insane to think of how different life would be. Like, literally, had I not worked at GameStop and had you not worked at GameStop, we would not be sitting here having this conversation today. I wouldn't be, I told you about Tim, Lisa, Chris, the impact they had on me and how I got to this point. The fact that Austin likes to remind people, I have a master's degree in HR. The only reason I got into HR was because of my experiences with GameStop. I mean, it's so insane how different life would be kind of without it,
Yeah, and it's just a throwback as always. Like, this is just the memories. It's the whole point of why we started this.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But overall, man, this brings us to our save point. We're going to go ahead and end it for the week. We had a good time going to Memory Lane conference and things that we did at GameStop. And hopefully let you hear about some things that we did in life through GameStop. And
yeah, from behind the counter kind of deal. Yeah, a little behind the scenes. Just don't go repeating that GameStop stores their consoles in the bathroom. That might get me in trouble. That's a joke, by the way. But yeah, let's double save, close out the week. Hope you had a good time listening today and enjoyed the trip down memory lane. We're going to have a doozy for you next week. The story mode is going to be LAN parties and Doritos dust. We're going to be bringing on our buddy Howie, you've heard us talk about, and then
his
Wayne.
name's not Howie, it's Scott.
Yeah, well, Howie. And then Austin's brother Wayne. We're going to be talking about, life before online gaming and after, Halo, COD. Wayne is going to go ahead.
Gears of War.
Yeah.
We will speak about Gears of War.
Wayne's going to make it a point to talk about Gears of War. Mountain Dew fueled gaming marathons, local multiplayer, all those good things. And this is also going to bring in a segment. It's really going to be the whole episode, but a side quest called Co-op Mode. Since we're going to have some other people on the pod itself, there is going to be a side quest dedicated to it, which won't be in line with what the overall topic is, but just something while they're here. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Nowadays, you're one of the only people that still call him Howie.
Yeah, I think I've established that. I feel I need to transition to Scott, but I just can't do it. I'm still going to call him Howie. But yeah, so they're going to be here next week. It will likely be a little bit longer of an episode, but we will try and keep things reined in a little bit. I think we're going to have to rein in the Gears of War rant probably to bring that in. But as always, remember, follow, like, subscribe, whatever your platform says. Reach out to us at the midnightreleasepod@gmail.com. Each week, we've been asking questions. Next week, we're going to be getting into some of these responses that have come in. But the question that we have for you now is, what is your go-to, gaming midnight launch, snack or drink or meal? Like we talk about how much we went to Applebee's. Austin's holding up a Monster right now.
My Doritos are upstairs.
Yeah, Doritos are upstairs. But we'll be putting all these responses and things together, to put into our memory or listener memory card segments as we have them, which the first one will be next week. All right. Anything else we got?
No, it's good. Again, we appreciate everybody that's listened. We're doing this for fun. We're having a good time. So we appreciate it. Yep, we do. And as always, just remember, some memories are worth lining up for. You roll your eyes at me every time. All right. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.